Okay, should we get started? Are you ready? Are we ready? Are we ready? Come on in. So I wanted to remind everyone on the quizzes, the way we give the quizzes back, we're going to return them back in CSE 15L. And if you're not in 15L, then you can go to the lab during any of the 15L sessions to pick up the quiz. So this, at the top is a circle, right? Or you're supposed to circle when you plan to go back into the B250 lab to get your quiz. If you say other, they're just going to end up being in the same pile, right? This is how we sort them all. We use this to sort them. So anyway, I thought I'd let you know. A lot of people just didn't circle anything. Maybe they figured, well, I'm not in 15L, or they forgot or something. But even if you're not in 15L, we're still, this is how we're sending it back. So if you don't say anything, then we put them in the other file. Okay, so why don't we start in on our quiz questions. So, what is a void pointer? Pointer without a type, pointer to anything. Either one of those two things would be fine. What can you do with a void pointer? Dereference. A function call is implemented via what stack operation to the runtime stack? Push. Returning from a function is implemented via what stack operation to the runtime stack? Pop. Besides not knowing how much memory you need, what is the other main situation discussed in class when you must dynamically allocate memory in C and C++? When you want the memory to exist longer than the method execution where the memory was executed. You want memory to exist beyond the method that allocated it. In C and C++, what is the number value of false? 0. The number value of true? Non-zero. What is the number value of null? 0. In what section of memory do local variables exist? Runtime stack. Local variables are runtime stack. How about parameters? Runtime stack. What about static variables? Data. What is the return value of malloc? Void pointer. What is the type of the parameter to free? Void pointer. How does the parameter to free relate to the return value of malloc? The same. What is the unit of allocation for the parameter sent to malloc? It's size of something, but the unit allocation is in what? It's in bytes. It's a size in bytes. What is the method called to give back memory allocated in C? Free. A stack data structure has a property first in, last out, or last in, first out. What keyword is used to dynamically allocate memory in Java and C++? New. What keyword is used to dynamically deallocate memory in C++? Delete. Standard error is used for what two kinds of messages?
Error and debug.
Error and debug messages. Write a function with the purpose of assigning a long that exists elsewhere to 0. Okay, so write a function with the purpose of assigning a long that exists elsewhere to 0. So we would have a function returning void. Call that method function. What's the parameter type? Long pointer. Let's call it LP, and inside this method we dereference LP, we assign that equal to 0, and we're done. There's that function. Write a function with the purpose of assigning a long pointer that exists elsewhere to 0. How would this change? We pass in a pointer to a pointer, maybe we change the parameter name to LPP, and that's the change. It's really the same, very, very similar. Write a main function that has a function call to assign a local long variable to 0. So the main method would be, let's have main, let's have a long value LLL, and then we call our function, and we pass it the address of LLL. And that would be assuming but anyway, here we're just asking for the main function. Write a main function that has a function call to assign a local long pointer variable to 0. So we could call this star LP, and we pass in the address of LP, and there's your method. If we were calling it, of course, it would call the one we had here before. And this is all from your notes. You went through all this in your notes. All of this is from your notes. Are the following two pointer types the same or different? Pointer to long and pointer to long pointer to pointer to long and pointer to long pointer. They're the same. And if we're going too fast, stop me. I figured all of these are in your notes, right? And we need to get through them all, of course, in 15 minutes. Showing variable names, known memory addresses, and including arrows where appropriate, draw the runtime stack, showing a main method with a long variable, LLL, calling a method that assigns LLL to 0. The name of the parameter is LP, the address of LLL is 1000. Okay, so let's draw the runtime stack. The variable is called LLL. We are runtime stack. The variable is called LLL, showing no memory addresses, including arrows throughout the runtime stack, showing a main method with a local long variable, calling a method that assigns that long variable to 0. So we're going to pass a parameter. The parameter is called LP. And the address of LLL is 1000. So here's 1000 at that location. When we pass the address of LLL, that would be 1000 passed on the runtime stack. And the arrow would point to where that is in memory. And we would assign this space to 0. So that's showing local variables, known memory addresses, including arrows where appropriate throughout the runtime stack, showing the main method with a local variable LLL, calling a method that assigns LLL to 0. And looks like we did all that. How about another one? Showing variable names, all the same thing. Draw the runtime stack with a main method with a local long pointer variable called LP, and the method assigns LP to 0. The parameter name is LPP. The address is 1000. So the difference here would be it starts off at LP, and our parameter is called LPP. Otherwise, it's the same. Showing variable names, known memory addresses, and including arrows where appropriate, draw the runtime stack for, and I believe this is the same. There's the function long, this is the first one, I guess. I think that would be here. So there's our local variable, or I'm sorry, local parameter LP, and we're dereferencing that pointer, going to where that is in memory, assigning it to 0. In main, we have the variable called LP, and we call the function passing the address of LP. So basically, 3 different ways I'm asking for basically the same thing. What is the type of 0? 0 is all types. Is 0 type void pointer? Yes. Is 0 type int pointer? Yes. In the expression x, y, z, x, z, y, equals size of the stack, is size of stack a typical function call? No, because typical function calls don't take types of parameters. So this is, I believe it's called an operator. This is a value that's known at compile time. So the compiler will just put in a constant there. So it's not a typical function call at all. Excluding validity checks and return values, write the body code for the push function of homework 3. So, the push function of homework 3, we had a stack pointer that had the index of the last used space on the stack. Our parameter was called this stack. So let's say we had a long value SP, which is equal to this stack at stack pointer index. And so that would be the last used space. And then push function would assign a value, this stack, at the last used space. So we could say stack pointer plus 1. There's a whole bunch of different ways to do this. Equals item. That's inserting the item 1 after where the stack pointer points. And then we'd have to increment the stack pointer. The stack at stack pointer index plus plus. That's one way. I mean, there's a whole bunch, but we could do all kinds of things, but this is, I believe this works fine. That's clear. I hope it's clear. It's easy to grade. Excluding validity checks and return value, write the body of the code for the pop function. So let's start off the same way. There's the stack pointer. So pop would say star item equals this stack at SP, because that's the last used space, right? So that's the last used one, and so we can then decrement the stack pointer. This stack at stack pointer index minus minus. We could have had a minus minus on the prior line as well. If you're not too sure about the use of pre-increment, post-increment, all those, the plus plus operator on the where it goes and the effect on the expression, I think the clearest way is to put it on the line by itself. Excluding validity checks and return values, write the body of the code for the top function of homework 3. So the top function of homework 3 would be the same about that last line. Excluding validity checks and return value, write the code for the empty stack function of homework 3. So the empty stack function of homework 3 would be simply this stack at stack pointer index equals what? -1. It's that one line of code. What condition is checked to determine if the stack is empty in homework 3? If stack pointer index was equal to -1. How about if the stack is full? Stack pointer index is equal to size minus 1. What are the two responsibilities of the delete stack function of homework 3? To deallocate the stack and to assign that incoming pointer to 0. What are the two responsibilities of the new stack function of homework 3? To allocate the stack and initialize the data. What is the object-oriented term describing each of the collection of functions defined within the same file in C, each with a common first parameter? You guys don't remember this? Member methods, very good. They're member methods. Member methods, member functions. Push, pop, top, they're definitely member functions of stack. Even though C has no member method syntax, they were member methods. We took all the stack functions, put them all in a stack.h header and a stack.c file, and they were member methods of stack, no doubt. They all took a common first parameter, which is a pointer to the stack, or with the delete stack case, pointer to stack, or with the new stack case, it returned a stack pointer. So they were all member methods, collection of functions within the same file with a common first parameter. What is the object-oriented term describing the new stack method of homework 3? Constructor. What is the object-oriented term describing the delete stack method of homework 3? The
Destructor.
destructor. Translate the following method call using your homework 3 stack into an equivalent line of Java code, assuming the needed classes and variables are defined. So, I'm not sure if we actually did this or not, but it's simple enough. So that line says push main stack 10, push main stack 10. This is our line of code in C. The line of code in Java would be main stack dot push, and we're passing 10 as the parameter. So all we're doing is taking that first parameter and moving it to the other side of the operator and having a dot. So this is Java, this is C. Which stack methods of homework 3 need to be checked if the stack is full before the requested operation can be completed successfully?
Is full.
Push and is full stack.
Is full.
Which stack methods of homework 3 need to check if the stack is empty before the requested operation can be completed successfully? Top, and is empty. In the push function, what is the name and type of the first parameter? Stack pointer, this underscore stack, or you don't have to have the underscore there if you don't want to, but we want that keyword this. This is a keyword in Java and C++, not in C. But the pointer that we're passing as the parameter, it's this exact same thing as this pointer. In the pop function, what's the name and type of the first parameter? Stack pointer, this underscore stack. The top function, the same thing, this underscore stack. When calling free, is the caller giving up access to or authority to access memory or both? Authority. When assigning a pointer to null, is the caller giving up access to or authority to access memory or both? Access. In C, what are the 3 kinds of illegal declarations? Returning a function, returning an array, and an array of functions. Those are the 3 things we can declare, but they just can't exist. So returning an array, returning a function, and an array of functions. With parallel arrays, 2 or more arrays share the same index. In C, in what kind of file do you list public information? .h, header, or .h. In C, what kind of file do you list private information? .c file. In C, what kind of file do you list hidden information? The .c file. Generally speaking, what goes in a .h file? What you want the world to know. Or the minimum required for others to use your code. True, it will have declarations. True, will have class definitions and type definitions and maybe some global variables and other include files and all of that stuff. But really, on a high level, what goes in there, what you want the world to know, or the very minimum needed to use your code. Name the 3 binary masking bit manipulation operators. And or exclusive or. Intuitively speaking, ANDing with ones gives the same. ANDing with zeros gives zeros. ORing with ones gives ones. ORing with zeros gives the same. Exclusive ORing with ones gives, well, everything's flipped, all the bits are flipped. Intuitively speaking, ORing with zeros gives the same. What is the English word for describing exclusive ORing with one continuously? It's the toggle, like you're toggling something on, off, on, off, on, off, on, off, toggle. Exclusive ORing of value with itself gives 0. In 8 bits, what's the result of not all of that? 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, because everything's flipped. In 8 bits, what's the result of this? In the first 4 bits, you get 0. In the last 4 bits, we get the same. 1, 0, 1, or 0, 1, 0, 1. Oops. In 8 bits, what's the result of this following? The first 4 bits, you'll get the same. In the last 4 bits, you get 1s. Here with exclusive OR, the first 4 bits you get the same, the last 4 bits you get, they're flipped, 1, 0, 1, 0. How do you describe the result of the following 3 operations? I heard it. So you guys have tried this, or a couple people did. Let's say this is X and this is Y, and let's say this is 1, 0, 1, 0, and this is 1, 1, 1, 1. Okay? So we exclusive OR the two together, so we say like X exclusive OR equals Y. So we exclusive OR together and store the result in X. So here's X as a result. So Y is going to be the same, which is 1, 1, 1, 1. So what do we do here? 1 and 1 gives 0, 0 and 1 gives 1, 1 and 1 gives 0, 0 and 1 gives 1. Then we exclusive OR together and store the result in Y. Y exclusive OR equals X. And so the new value of Y is going to be 1 exclusive OR with 0 exclusive OR with 1 gives you 1. 1 exclusive OR with 1 gives you 0. This gives you 1. This gives you 0. And then we say X exclusive OR equals Y. And X is not changed here, so this is 1, 0, 1, 0. We do this one more time, store the result in X. So X is going to be 0 exclusive OR 1 is 1, this is 1, this is 1, this is 1. So this is the final value in X, this is the final value in Y. What did we do? We swapped X with Y without a temporary variable. So it's a little trick. Comes in handy occasionally. ANDing is used to extract bits, that is true. ANDing is used to set bits, that is false. ANDing is used to clear bits, that is true. That's true as well. You're getting the 0 and you're getting the same. So you could clear off some bits with an AND, so that would be true. ANDing is used to flip bits, that is false. ORing is used to extract bits, false. ORing is used to set bits, true. ORing is used to clear bits, false. Flip bits, false. Exclusive ORing is used to extract bits, false. Set bits, false. How can you use exclusive OR to set a bit? Exclusive ORing with zeros gives you the same, so all these set however they're going to be set before. And exclusive ORing with 1 is going to flip something from 1 to 0. So I think you're really not, if you want to set a bit to 1 somewhere, you're not going to use exclusive OR. So the answer would be no. Exclusive OR is used to flip bits, true. Shifting bits to the right has the effect of dividing by powers of 2. Shifting bits to the left has the effect of multiplying by a power of 2. What does the operator use to shift bits to the left? Less than, less than. What operators use to shift bits to the right? Greater than, greater than. In your calculator homework 4, what is the best word to describe the character that into post will unget? A digit, a number. I think digit is probably the best word. In your calculator homework 4, what is the best word to describe a character that deck in will unget? Non-digit. In your interpost code homework 4, the values pushed to the stack originate from what two functions? set of word and decade. In English words, describe the following declaration. So you look for the innermost set of parentheses or the name, and then we go forward until we have to go back. We have to go back with a closing grouping parenthesis or the end of the declaration. So here's X, we go forward, and we get a closed parenthesis, so we have to go back. We know it's star means pointer to, and then brackets mean array of, brackets mean array of. We're at the end of the declaration, so we go back to where we haven't read anything yet, and we see in. So X is a pointer to an array of events. We could also say X is a pointer to a two-dimensional array of events. What about the next one? X is a pointer to function returning array of ints. X is a array of pointer to functions returning int. X is a array of functions returning int. Or we could say X is a two-dimensional array of functions returning int, which can't be, right, illegal. The next one, X is a function returning pointer to array of int. And these are all from the handout. So if you went through this online, right? So if you're going too fast, you can always look at the handout. So that was this one, right? The next one, X is a function returning array of function returning int. Maybe we should, well, should we, I don't know, we could even do one on the board, I guess, if we want. They're all the same, if you want to do one. X is, this one. X is an array of functions returning array of functions returning pointers to long. So once you know how this works, it's all the same. Hopefully you'll go through it and practice and get faster and faster and more confident with your answers. So do we do this one? X is a pointer to array of
pointers.
int pointers. X is a function returning pointer to function returning int. X is a array of pointer to array of int. Good, you're all getting this. Where on the first day when we went through this, it's like, what are all these crazy things? So really nice that you're learning. What about this one? X is an array of pointer to functions taking long and long returning long. So this is the same as your functions array. Considering a tiered or layered design, each method needs to work based on its parameters and return values. Considering a tiered or layered design, methods of outer tiers are called by methods of inner tiers, that is false. Methods of inner tiers are called by methods of outer tiers, true. Assuming malloc returned 2000, draw a homework 3 stack created with the size of 10 after pushing 25, 50, 75, 100 and popping twice. Okay, so your homework 3 stack had 3 spaces of empty structure for your stack count. Let's say stack count of 1. How many items are in here? 10 items in the stack. And we're pushing 2550, 75, 100. Okay, so we're pushing 25, 50, 75, 100. So this would start at -1, and then this would change to 0, 1, 2, 3. And then it says we pop twice. So pop twice would just simply subtract off this value to be 1. If you wanted to leave this as it is, that's fine. I think this would be really the most correct. Other, we have 10 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I think that would be the most correct. Because we could have question marks or in those other spaces. I don't know that it really matters. What really matters is you've got your stack pointer correct, and the size is correct. It matches the size is allocated. You want this to be as correct as possible. True, we don't care that 75 and 100 are in there, but true, we put them in there, so we know that's what's there. Your pop function doesn't clear them out to 0, so that's what you put in there, that's what's left in there. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. I wouldn't have got full credit on my own question. Mallet returns 2,000. Very good, thank you. The efficiency of the stack push function is big O of 1. Pop is big O of 1. Pop is big O of 1. In Java or C++, the static method is one called without an object. If there's 0 instances of a class, how many instances are there of one of its static data fields? 1. If there are 1,000 instances of a class, how many instances are there of one of its static data fields? 1. Is a static data field part of the size of an object? No, it isn't. It's not. Size of is used to know how big the computer allocates every object of that type, and the static variable is allocated elsewhere. It's not allocated in the same unit, so it's not part of that count. Is a static data field allocated in adjacent memory to objects of that class? No, not. In C, a static method not inside a class is one that can be called by what other methods? A static method not inside a class, so that would be like add, subtract, multiply, divide for the calculator. Those were all static methods, were not in a class at all. They were in a file. Which methods could call add, subtract, multiply, divide? Any that existed below that declaration. What is the value of x, y, z at the end of the 5th execution of the following function? So we have a static variable of 10. We execute this 5 times. So how many times does 10 get assigned x, y, z? Once. Static means x, y, z is in the data section, meaning it doesn't lose its value. It's allocated when the program begins. It's known by x, y, z only when this function is executing. So we're going to execute this function 5 times. Each time we're going to increment x, y, z. What is the value of x, y, z at the end of the 5th execution? 15. How about here, the same thing, but if we're not static? Then x, y, z would be 11. Because here, x, y, z is on the runtime stack, allocated every time the function begins, initialized every time the function begins, taking that variable we're initialized, we're adding 1 to it, 10 plus 11, 10 plus 1 is 11. In C and C++, unless otherwise initialized, what is the initial value of all static variables? 0. Can static variables be accessed by name outside a file in which they're declared? No, they can't. Static means local to a file, local to a class, local to a method. The arrow operator in C and C++ is formed by what 2 symbols? Dash and greater than. If you have a pointer called stu_p that points to a student object in one line, write the code to assign its number data field to 1, 2, 3. So that would be stu_p arrow number equals 1, 2, 3. Rewrite the following code to use preferred syntax. This would be pointer arrow field equals 0. Preferred syntax here would be object dot field equals 0. An object should be responsible for changing its own data. That is true. And this really comes about in homework 3. I'm sorry, in homework 5, the one you're working on now, which means that your methods of list should be changed, the data fields of list should be changed by methods of list. The data fields of node should be changed by methods of node. That's one way to keep the layering, to know where you need to make an update to a pre-field. It really should be in a field of a method of node. Just by the way, while I'm thinking about this, any of the static methods in list.c, if you want to change those, change their prototypes to return a different value, add another parameter, you can feel free to do that. Like find location, if you want it to somehow change. The methods you don't want to change are in the .h file. The .h file says, this is what the world knows. Hey world, this is how you use my code. The .c file is the private hidden stuff. So if you have a static method in your .c file, if you want to change find location to be a little bit better or different or work somehow for yours, how you want to do things, I think that that's fine. So some people were asking about that, and I thought I should mention it. The other thing that, before we go on, is I know Friday is the last day to drop without a W. I've asked all the tutors if they can get your homework 4 grades done by Friday at noon, and your 15L homework graded by Friday at noon, and then you can use that on your decision to stick with the class or not. Please know that CSE 12 is all about the first half of the class is really practice. It doesn't have a whole lot to do with your final course grade. Maybe 10% of the course grade is determined in the first half of the class. Maybe it's a little bit more than that, but really the vast majority is the second half of the class. If you've got low homework scores, 10 out of 30, that's a loss of 20, which is really insignificant with the 775 points there are. I would rather identify all your errors so you have high losses on low point assignments, so you avoid losses on high point assignments. So you basically get corrected and can improve without an impact to your grade. That's the philosophy of it all. As well as the assignments get more complicated as we go forward. They get more object-oriented. The first couple assignments weren't object-oriented, weren't data structured. So let's give more credit for, more sophisticated work. So anyway, if you're wondering, should you drop, should you stick it out, you can definitely come talk to me or after class right now or later on. I don't think people should be disillusioned. And one of the tutors at our staff meeting said, oh, on homework 2, I got like 2 grades below an F on one of these assignments. And he ended up with an A in the class. And he's one of the tutors. So I care that you learn from your mistakes and you improve. We're not judging you. I guess I'm grading you, right? But I give you a letter grade at the end of the class. It's not today. So the best you can be is receptive to the mistakes, and rather than saying you bastard grader, you raked me through the coals and robbed me of my points. I think you should look in the mirror and say, I can do better, and then do better as the course progresses. So anyways, let's continue on. Just wanted to give you that little pep talk. An object, so we did that one. Assuming the below is from correctly compiling code, the following code in Java creates a student object. Is that true or false? That is false. That code creates a reference to a student, which is really a pointer to a student. It acts like a pointer. You can have a null pointer exception. You know, it's really like a pointer. So it's not an object. So this would be false. The following code in C declares a student. That is true. On the runtime stack, a student would be declared. In the line type def new type old type, what is the name of the type being defined? Old type. That's what's last on the line. In the following code, is the tag mandatory or optional? The tag is that first student and it is optional. In the following code, the tag is mandatory or optional. In this case, it's mandatory because you have a pointer pointing to the same kind of thing you're defining. Any questions on any of these? Yeah.
Number 122.
Number 122. Number 122, this would be object.field. So we take the address of an object that becomes a pointer, and then you can use an arrow. How about just saying object.field to begin? How did you do? Did you have to take the quiz today? Did you do well? Do you have some reviewing to do? What number? 121? 121. So a pointer, assuming that really is a pointer, to access its field, you just use an arrow. Pointer, arrow, field. You don't have to dereference the pointer to become an object to use a dot. Any other questions? Yeah. 113. 113, is a static data field allocated an adjacent memory to those objects in the class? Typically, if you're going to allocate objects in the class, they're going to go on the runtime stack, they're going to go in the heap. The static data is always in the data section. So objects of your class are going to end up being runtime stack or in the heap. You might have objects in the data section. The vast majority of your objects are dynamically allocated in the heap. They're just not going to be in the same space as the static data. Any other questions? Okay, so when we end here, we'll end early, so go and go. And we'll see you tomorrow.